Okay, so this week we're reviewing John Rawls' original position argument and the intuitive argument as well. With the original position argument, we'll go through that pretty quickly because of that it's inherently difficult to apply these concepts without having to factor in people biases, their biases that come from what they stand to gain or their personal experiences or where they are in life. So to be able to compensate for this, he employed a technique called the veil of ignorance, where we, for a second, pretend that we're not aware of who we are, where we are in society, what benefits we have, what experiences we've had, any sort of financial, economical, social statuses that we currently have. And we analyze each of these concepts to see which of these are most, um, which of these are the best option. So he goes through these pretty quickly. Utilitarianism, which again is a consequence based concept where we say if the consequence outweighs if the reward outweighs the consequence, then it's a good decision. And this tend to lead to majority rule. This will completely destroy individual rights and minority rights. In a feudal system where you have a hierarchy system of king, queens, the nobles, and the peasants, obviously this would have worked because if you woke up as a king, you'll be happy. But if you woke up as a peasant, you wouldn't want this kind of system. So yes, I would agree that we would also reject the system. In the libertarianism uh, system, you have a little bit of you're going to have obstacles to achieve high levels of success. So therefore, because of that, I do believe that we can also reject the system. In a strict egalitarianism system, which is kind of similar to communism, where everyone has to have the same amount of resources regardless of their contribution to the economy. Well, if you were working 80 hours a week and you were making the same money as a guy sitting at home all day, I don't think you'd be pretty happy about that. So I think that would be rejected. So then we get to this last one, property owning democracy, where there's three principles here. Principle one is the liberty principle, which guarantees liberty for all people, freedom of mind, freedom of thought. Then you have the EO principle, which guarantees anti-discrimination. This is kind of to leverage things that might come from maybe someone that was born into a rich family, things like that, just to create an environment where everyone will at least have a decent opportunity to try to make it. And then the difference principle. The difference principle pretty much says that, it's okay to have more, it's okay to have inequality from an economic standpoint as long as it is to the benefit of the worst group. In other words, it's okay for certain people not to have as much, but as long as they don't have nothing. So yeah, I do believe that yes, the property owning democracy is a better argument here, and it supersedes the rest of them. And to quickly go through the intuitive argument, I really like to quote that success should be a function of choice and effort, not generic lottery or historical accident. I do believe in that. I think that if you what type of family you're born into plays a huge role in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the only factor, but if you have to put a percentage, it's probably closer to 70% factor on what type of success you would achieve and how likely you'll be successful. And using that perspective, we can also eliminate the feudal system just because of the fact that if you're born into a royal family, it's not the same as somebody who's not. Libertarian system as well, meritocracy. It's a little bit different again because it's not the most efficient. And I kind of agree with the professor. The property owner democracy would also win there. But to quickly get to the current political issues that we can apply this argument to, well, I think one of the biggest political issues of our time is foreign policy. When our government is making options or making decisions to go overseas and make decisions that are supposed to benefit Americans, but then it's also at the detriment of other people. So we have to ask ourselves, under a utilitarianism system, this would probably be accepted just because we can make the argument that because Americans are benefited from these decisions, it does supersede the consequences that maybe others have to face. But even with that, that gets rejected because it's not all Americans that benefit from these decisions. Yes, jobs are created during wartime because weapons are manufactured and things of that nature, but majority of the benefits from these kind of things typically goes to the manufacturing companies. Then when you said we kind of compare that to a feudal system, it's a little bit different because here you can't really, I guess America would be the closer to the more powerful, the more wealthier nation, and some of the other nations that we find ourselves in are as less fortunate. So I guess if you try to apply this to the foreign policy issues we're having in America today, you would see that the decisions that we make violate most of these arguments. However, it does lean more towards the utilitarianism argument, which would put the benefit of Americans over the rest of the world. I'm a little bit over on time. And to touch on the property owning democracy, our foreign policy does not guarantee freedom for all. So it wouldn't fall in. It really wouldn't fall into that that argument as well. So I think if I were to analyze our foreign policy decisions, it would probably lean more towards utilitarianism or libertarianism. Thank you.